Fun fact, in 2014, the Yoda head was the most commonly downloaded and printed item on a 3D printer. Yeah, that's right, Yoda. We can download, print, and study 3D models of the brain or a heart valve. We can even print a splint to save a child's trachea. Mad scientists are even 3D printing DNA and miniature organs in their labs. But still, for all their promise, the most popular printed item was a tiny green Jedi Master. Heck, I've even got one. In a way, that's probably appropriate, because even though printers sound awesome and utilitarian, let me be the first to tell you they aren't, at least not yet. While desktop printers may be simple to use in concept, many times they just aren't reliable. Even if you nurture your 3D printer, even get the newest, fanciest 3D printer on the shelf, most of the time they just don't work the way they're supposed to. Want to know what else people with 3D printers print? Parts to fix their 3D printers. For all my frustration, my love-hate relationship with 3D printers has some upside too. Apply some creativity, push some boundaries, add a little bit more patience, and some interesting use cases can appear. You know, some that might actually make sense, like when Captain Kirk has something beamed down from the Enterprise to save the day. We aren't an interplanetary species as of yet, so perhaps that's too far-fetched for you? Or is it? Has anyone here heard of Apollo 13? Not the actual mishap in space, the film Tom Hanks was in. They needed a new filter adapter, or all the astronauts on board were going to die. It took the entire brain trust of NASA engineers on Earth to create a solution, to get that square box to fit that round hose, the classic conundrum. Luckily, a solution was made, namely due to the magic power of duct tape. Never leave home without it. Let's think about some of the major hurdles astronauts face. Their version of Amazon Prime costs $20,000 per pound, months of planning, millions of dollars, just to put your package on top of a kiloton of incredibly dangerous explosives to deliver it to an environment that's trying to kill you. What if we'd had a 3D printer on Apollo 13? We could have manufactured an exact replacement adapter. Too sci-fi, or does it make too much sense? What if those NASA engineers could have teleported or emailed the magic solution to space for the astronauts to print and then save the day? Well, actually, it isn't that far-fetched, because in addition to building things layer by layer here on Earth, we're doing it off-planet as well. Houston, we have a solution. I have always wanted to say that. In fact, there already is such a solution. I work with a small company called Made in Space. Last fall, in collaboration with NASA, we launched our Magic Box, the safest and most reliable 3D printer to the International Space Station. We then designed, tested, and emailed a much-desired ratchet to astronaut Barry Wilmore. We like to call him Butch. Creating not only the fastest hardware delivery to space, but the first ever off-planet manufacturing. So if we can design and build for astronauts, why not do it here on Earth? And are there not places on Earth as desperate for a solution as Tom Hanks? It turns out large parts of the developing world and disaster zones, which unfortunately often go together, are pretty desperate too, not unlike our astronauts, often for some pretty mundane stuff we take for granted. At least that's what I'd heard, so I decided to go and see these other worlds for myself. I journeyed to the faraway magical land of Haiti with visions of grandeur, witchcraft, and devastated communities. Well, it was just that, magical and insanely different than my own reality. I felt as though I was an alien on my own planet. Things were even more messed up than I had imagined. Political challenges, you know, graft, violence, corruption, criminal elements, underground markets, non-existent infrastructure? Certainly no FedEx or any kind of reliable delivery. We might as well have been shipping to the moon. Fortunately, I found myself in the care of this brilliant, obsessive mind, Sam Block. You see, Sam wasn't using magic technology to solve hard problems. He was using a different model entirely. He started an organization called Haiti Humanitarian, a safe place for foreigners such as myself to go and work side by side with locals to test out humanitarian projects. During my stay, I wound up working with a water startup, attempted to do design, and then promptly fell flat on my face. The most epic fail of my design career. Even worse than that damn bent wood shelf I made in shop class. Because I got the big picture, but I missed the local details. I promise you, I am about the least detail-oriented person you will ever meet. Did I forget to mention that my initials are ADD? As it was a waste of time and resources, I will wear this shame to my death. But you know what? It turns out I actually learned from it. Work with locals. I thought I had been, and I was doing that. Unfortunately, I was doing a half-assed version. I wasn't doing it side by side and in constant collaboration. What I found in Haiti had an eerie similarity to Apollo 13. In the many cases of broken wells or machinery, all that was needed to fix the system was a missing screw, adapter, or a washer. Money seemed to have been spent on feeling good and sending relief after the earthquake. Not much spent on amplifying resiliency or trusting that Haitians would be some of the most resilient, industrious people you would meet. The typical aid model goes something like this. Give it to them for free. These poor, helpless souls can't afford it, which in turn creates a dependency. Free water means that local distributors can no longer sell their water in that town. But when the well goes down because of a broken part, so does all the clean water for that entire village. During my stay, I met a local aid worker, Nurse Maeve. First and foremost, my friend is a true hero. Not the comic book kind, the real roll up your sleeves and risk your life every day kind. Maeve ran a local hospital up north. One night, while completely out of medical supplies, Maeve had to deliver 5 babies. Birth, while often a beautiful human experience, can also be messy, scary, and full of fluids. I was horrified, no, awestruck, by her bravery, to hear that she had cut the fingers off of her last pair of latex gloves to tie off the umbilical cords. This meant that lovely, amazing, beautiful, powerful, selfless Maeve was risking her own life to save the lives of those infants by delivering them barehanded to potentially HIV-positive women. Upon hearing this, I thought, enough is enough. There has to be something that can be done. I bet those umbilical cord clamps could be 3D printed. The moment there was power and internet, I put out an ask on social media. Within 48 hours, a friend had graciously donated an old MakerBot 3D printer and was on its way down to Haiti. We set to printing in a shipping container to protect us from the elements, as well as malaria and dengue. While dizzy on ABS filament fumes, you know, the stuff they make Legos out of, I wondered why someone didn't just ship us a container full of clamps. Oh, right. No FedEx. And 2 years after the earthquake, it wasn't cool to donate to Haiti anymore. In the onset of a disaster, people come in droves. They want to help. They donate money, medical supplies, water, tools, even winter coats. Winter coats to Haiti? Seriously? Seriously, someone actually did that. I bet that person didn't think to ask a Haitian what they might actually need. Back to the shipping containers. This may come as a surprise to you, but shipping containers are harder than one may think to get to areas of need. In reality, to get a shipping container shipped to Haiti full of clamps would cost tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. Just to get there, fees, shipping, customs, let alone the cost of the clamps themselves. All of this leading to the cost of one clamp to over $3 US. And even though it's closer than the space station, it still takes up to 18 months or longer to get to the clinic. By then, the baby needs diapers and vaccines, let alone an umbilical cord clamp. Desperate not to repeat my mistakes of failed design and collaboration, I asked local medical practitioners what worked best for them. As this investigation continued, a clamp that could be customized and 3D printed was born. Imagine the possibilities. A 3D printer can now be an on-demand hospital supply catalog, where virtually every sterile part costs the same, requiring no special tooling. And you can use it as needed to make any number of objects, foreseen or unforeseen. That means that while the printer is actually working, instead of making Yoda heads, which, let's admit, are complex in their own right, we can start making things that actually matter. Well, you may be thinking this indeed is all lovely, but you smart folks out there, you're like, hey, I thought printers needed filament and power. I thought so. Yes, sadly, you are correct. They do. So how can we approach this? Well, most clinics have generators, and we can run the 3D printers on those, or in extreme cases, using inverters on car batteries. Filament. Excellent question. With a one-time delivery of a printer of 10 kilograms of filament, we can now print tens, hundreds, thousands of different parts. Okay, so we get the polymer there first. How do we get people more when they run out? Well, as it turns out, ABS filament can be recycled. What? No way! I was so excited when I discovered this. Who'd have thought that recycling could save the day? Unbelievable. And it was upon joining forces with some brilliant engineers and experts on what really works in aid relief that we co-founded an organization called Field Ready. Our idea was that not only the technology, but the people were ready to create on demand. So here's the idea. A woman uses the clamp, brings it back to the clinic upon baby's first checkup. We then sanitize it, grind it up, remelt it, and turn it into, you guessed it, filament, which we then use to make replacement parts, or oxygen splitters. I know, it's so mind-blowing. I love to take credit for all of this, but really, I leave all of this development to the genius scientists out there and my colleagues at Field Ready. For without these engineers, we couldn't make the perfect clamp or an almost closed-loop system. All of this is great if we can do it for one clinic, but how do we really have impact? Train locals to be creators, not victims. The best part is with some number crunching, we can have locals produce these clamps at 30 cents. That's 1/10 the original price. So imagine this. It's now cheaper and quicker for a donor to hire a local to produce these needed parts, all while creating paid work in that community. It's really mind-blowing. It's so simple in concept. So that is what we at Field Ready have set out to do. Our ultimate goal, to produce on-demand manufacturing in the onset of a disaster, to get people what they actually need when they actually need it. As with any crisis, you never know how it will pan out, or what will prove to be essential, so why not create a system to address just that? Our mission, to deploy small-scale, hyper-local digital manufacturing systems with a catalog of parts that are not only produced by 3D printing, but a variety of other tools as well. Once deployed, in order to build off of local capacity and skill sets, we'll hire locals to evolve, design, and produce these parts. Upon departure, we'll leave the technology behind so that the locals can then kickstart their own microeconomy. This way, locals have actual say in what they need. Perhaps they know better than we do. Winter coats, anyone? It turns out, after disaster, that empowering people to help themselves is a much better model for communities to heal faster, create strength, and boost resiliency. So in closing, yes, desktop 3D printers can be used for more than just Yoda heads. But while 3D printing still isn't the silver bullet we've all been searching for, why don't we make it so? I propose this. Why don't we all get on board to get to designing with and for humans other than ourselves? Remember to think about those not just off-planet, but those right here on Earth too. Thank you.